Can you really build a team without money? Join us today to find out how on the Better Your Business Show.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the Better Your Business Show. I'm Natalie Essman, financial strategist and your host this morning. My co-host Shanna Mavis will not be joining us. Unfortunately, she was hurt this morning, but we still have an awesome show planned for you this morning that I'm very excited about. We have the original OGs in the house. We are going to be going over T.E.E.M, the equity equation something method. I already messed it up. But hey, you guys, do you know you can start a business without money? That's the most important part. So we're going to go ahead and get started and have the founders of I.Do Systems join us this morning. We have Carlton Hoskins and T.E.E.M Glover in the house today. Elaine, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Tell us how to grow your team with no money. I'm so excited about this conversation. I know that we were... Yes, right. I know that when we were kind of chatting about the direction that we wanted to take, I thought, bottom line is most people don't know they can start a business without any money. And so I think, yeah, right. Yes, I need that, Elaine. I think as soon as we can start that conversation and let people know how they can start to do that, that's a great place to start. So thrilled to have you guys here. Obviously, of course, the geniuses behind the mastermind that we have going on, the brains. And so I know for you guys, you are both co-founders of I.Do Systems, of Pillar 5, and of T.E.E.M, which is our equity equation method. And I know they all, in some way, shape, or form, go hand in hand. So why don't we start with, let's start with what is I.Do Systems, I think, and kind of go, how did that go to Pillar 5, and then how do we go into T.E.E.M? Does that sound okay? Want to start with that, Carlton?
Good.
Okay, awesome.
Absolutely. So I.Do Systems is a business solutions tech development company. T.E.E.M and I founded that company back in 2014 to reduce the death rate of small businesses. We realized there was no roadmap to growing a business, so we decided we were going to build a company that focused on solutions to that 30-year-old problem.
Awesome. And so you went from there, created the Pillar 5 platform.
Yeah, flagship program. That was the initial program we jumped in with. Again, you know, you go to IKEA, you buy furniture, you get this elaborate instruction manual. Well, you go, you register a business, or you decide to get a business, and you get no instruction manual. You just kind of got to wing it, figure it out, and put the Lego pieces together the best you know how, and hopefully it works. And if it doesn't, try again. And we just kind of feel that is the symptom that's causing most of the problems, the death rates of small businesses in the U.S. specifically. And we decided to do something about it.
That's awesome. I love it. So did you just call up T.E.E.M one day and say, hey, we're going to take over?
Wow, there's an echo going on. But the way it started was T.E.E.M and I was working with a financial company, and we were helping business owners build business credit. And then we realized that the more funding they got, the faster they failed. So we knew that was not the right direction to go. Mark Cuban always says, sales cures all. And he's right. Sales cures all, not funding, not capital, not money, but sales. The transaction of someone wanting what you have cures all, because that's a proof of the market wanting what you have. But money itself doesn't prove it. We can throw money down a dark pit hole and never see the results of that, which leads into T.E.E.M. If you have a team of experts around you who understands the dynamics of those particular divisions and departments of an organization, they can help you grow your business better versus you trying to do or wearing the Mad Hatter.
Exactly. So, and I love that too, because that's even been my experience in finance, right? I know that it doesn't matter. People always say, well, if I just make more money, or, oh, if I just have more money, things would be different. And that's not true. If we don't know how to leverage, use what we have, it will never get better. And that's part of what I love about the T method is, okay, well, the money's out of the way. You don't even have money as an excuse. So now what, right?
That's
So,
right.
so let's go back to that a little bit and talk about what exactly is T.E.E.M.
Hey, Ron.
I can barely hear you guys. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep,
We can hear
we
you
can
great.
hear you. Okay. So what is T.E.E.M?
Yes.
T.E.E.M,
Question again.
what is T.E.E.M?
You're asking what is Team? Team. It's an acronym. Team's an acronym for the equity equation method. So it's a creative method that we put together that we were using before we realized we were putting it together. Really, we needed a team to accomplish a goal, which is constructing a business to solve a problem, and there were expertise skills needed that we didn't have, that we felt would be an injustice to the actual solution we were providing. So we realized we had two things: we had the idea, and we had the time to put into the idea, and so we decided to offer equity as a way for people to not only add their expertise but share their mission, that they were mission driven. So when someone isn't going to join forces with you in business for a transaction, you're not going to pay them. They really have to feel what it is you're doing, or at least benefit from the thing happening. So it helped us understand more or less how to actually conduct team, or what that process looks like. So people with skill sets necessarily aren't the first ones on the battle line, on the front. And expertise and skill sets, but they're not really going to want to continue what it takes to build something out when you're developing a business, especially in the seed stage of a business, which is a lot longer than most people think, without being compensated. So ownership in the actual company was something that was attractive across the board as we continued building team and building a group of people who collectively had the same mission in some form or fashion. So it's a creative way to get your business off the ground, constructed with expert members that are collectively owners of the business versus hiring service providers to just do a simple task. It causes a different kind of culture, if you will, inside of the infrastructure before you even get to startup.
Yes. Well, and I love that too, because like for someone like myself, that's part of what I find so attractive about it is that I'm going to work hard, right? I'm going to work hard for a company. And so just knowing that I have ownership in that part of that is mine, that's very attractive. It's
Right.
long-term benefit. It's retirement. I have my own business. It's coming together as partnership. It's not just doing everything for somebody else. And then when it's retirement, I'm like, okay, now what do I do? Right. It's something that is mine, that I have ownership and that's mine forever. So I love it. And not having to have it put a bunch of capital in the first place. So I know that. So we were talking about a little bit and I busted out. We were going to talk about, you need to be, I'm probably going to screw this up, so Carlton, help me out here. But I busted out my corporation this morning. We were talking about it, right? I have my corporation of my business here. And so what I had asked to Carlton is, because in the back, right, you get your little corporation, has all these fabulous things on the back, and then you get these certificates that have shares on them, right? Hopefully I don't have anything that cannot go to the general public out there. Name, address, social, right? But you get this, it has your shares on it. If you see I have 100,000 shares on here. And so, right, that happens when you get incorporated. And I even have that cool little medallion thing. So I can give away shares of my company, right, Carlton, if I wanted to give you some of your money expert, if I wanted to have you come into business with me and say, Carlton, I don't have, money to give you, but I have shares. I could give you some of my shares, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to kind of take that back to the essence of the conversation on how we got to where we are today with T.E.E.M. To kind of support what you're saying right now. When Tehran and I decided that we were going to build out Pillar 5, we started in an Excel program. We laid out everything that is within Pillar 5, the algorithm, et cetera, inside of Excel. And the one thing we immediately realized as we were going through the process was we wanted to build it into a software that people can access on their phone, on their computers, on their laptop, on wherever they wanted to be. And we don't know how to program. So the first thing we said was, okay, we need to go find a program. And every programmer we talked to was, 200,000, $250,000, 300,000, 350,000, 400,000. Like the numbers just kept going up and up and up. And then, you get these reduced rates of, okay, yeah, I'll do it for $40 an hour. It's going to take you 6 months to get it done. So you do the math on that, right? You're really close to $500,000 on some sort of programming like that, which is by all rights fair, right? That's a fair value for what programmers do to build out your program. And as we were going through this process, we were like, well, what are we going to do? We can do what everyone else does. We can go to GoFundMe. We can do all these crowdfunding opportunities. We can go look for VCs without a proven concept. Like we can go do all of the things that everyone else was doing. But we decided to, I'm going to say, go the Bill Gates way. Go back the old way that people used to build businesses, where they would get partners to support them from the ground up, all of in which Vegas was built, even though, however people want to talk about that. That's how it was built. And it was because someone had a great idea to build something and they needed partners. They needed partners for specific reasons. And mainly, it's not the money. It's not that the overhead in growing your business is very high. It's the cost of the experts that you need. The moment we say marketing, we already know we're going to get some sort of email marketing from various organizations that are going to charge you $5,000 to set up a website, $10,000 to set up your SEO, another $5,000 for your content writer. Like all of these numbers start adding up really quickly. And for small businesses, the first thing we think is, well, if we go get the money, we can go pay for what we want. And back to Tehran's point is, you can pay for something. That doesn't mean you truly get the value of that person being in the same mission, vision, idea, concept, and motion that you're in. So I like that idea of, we like the idea of having people partner with us to be a part of the solution. And in exchange for being a part of the solution, if they really, really, really believe in it, then we would give them equity and or rev share for their time, for their value, for the amount of time they're going to commit to the organization. And that alone is what really took us into a different direction in building out T.E.E.M. And to Tehran's point again, we didn't know we were building out a course. We didn't know we were building out a solution. In our minds, everyone does this, right? Everyone looks up the law. Everyone reads the context. Everyone understands the regs. So they're going to go this way. But we don't, as business owners. We don't. Unfortunately, Tehran and I, our partnership requires that we go dig into the vault of information for answers to how do you do that with your limited liability company, and then moving on into the conversation that you're having with the with your incorporation, what is called a C corp, right? And so we can talk about those things, and we can share a lot more information into that, and even go through your share certificate that you're posting on the screen and kind of explain so people understand what that is, and then explain where there's a great myth that Tehran and I always talk about, and that's limited liability companies can't offer shares. Well, that's not true. That's absolutely 100% not true. And so we'll
that
talk
was going to
about
be my question is, do they have to have it a certain type of corporation to qualify to use this type of method, or can any type work?
Well, any type will work, but I want to kind of put that into I want to provide some clarity to that really quickly. There's a misunderstanding that there are several types of corporations, and they're not. There's a very limited number of corporations. Like you might have a specialty type corporation. That's a one-off, right? But most importantly, you have a limited liability company, and you have what is called a closed corporation. Closed corporation is what most people think of when they think of Pepsi and all these large brands, like McDonald's. They think of incorporated, INC. Those are called closed corporations. That means they're completely owned internally, meaning the company, everything goes into the company, and then things get distributed from the company in regards to payouts, distribution, taxes, the laws, ownerships, who can own it, where can you own it, can you have foreign owners? I mean, it gets really deep down a rabbit hole. But then you have your limited liability companies, which is probably the most flexible of all of them. Well, mainly the two. They allow you to run it like a closed corporation, like what you have, but own it like a private partnership or own it like a private entity. So it changes and all the taxes pass right through. So rather than doing corporate taxes and then personal taxes for your income, everything is personal taxes. Now, there's a myth. There's a misunderstanding, and I can probably get a few people to comment. If you're watching right now, do you believe that the S corporation is actually a corporation? If you agree with that, just in the comments really quick, whoever's listening, just go ahead and say yes if you think that S corporation is a corporation structure. And if you think no, just type no in the chat really quick. But the reality is an S corporation is like a 501c3. It is a tax classification. It is not a corporate structure. It is a tax classification. So your limited liability company can be taxed like an S corp. Your C corp can be taxed like an S corp. So understanding that S corporations are actually tax classifications, it changes our mindset on what we can and cannot do with a limited liability company. And so limited liability companies are wide open. There's, of course, people understand that you get a membership unit or an MU, a membership units. That is correct. It's a tax shelter. If you look at membership units, they're shares. They're part of a company. They're increments of a company. So LLCs can issue shares if they want to. They're just issuing them in membership units. The difference is when you do the team way, should you take that course and get that understanding, when you do it the team way, then you will learn that you can do voting and non-voting shares, which allows now that entity to move and maneuver just like a limited liability company. I mean, like a closed corporation, if it was public on the stock exchange.
That was a lot. Does that mean that you only want to get an LLC, or how do you know that?
Well,
because listening to you, it's like if I sit down with my CPA or whoever, that's who told me how to set up mine, right? Is that who people should be talking to? Should we be doing more of our own research? Is it dependent on what our future goals are?
Yes. And there's no, and I'm not hating on the tax experts out there. Everyone has their perspective and their opinion from a tax perspective. They should be making the decision of the organization based on what the intention, as Michelle Seeley Tucker would say and Sharon Lechter would say, begin with the end in mind, right? Think what your exit is. If you plan on taking your company public at some point in the future, meaning you're going to raise money from a public market at 38 cents a share to $3,800 a share, depending on if you're Warren Buffett, depending on the value of your company. If you're going to raise money that way, yeah, an incorporation is probably the easiest way to get through that process. But if you don't intend on taking your company public and you're going to keep it private with just did you know Hershey was a private organization up to about 4 years ago?
Really?
All these years, most people were thinking, oh my gosh, this is a huge public company. No, it's not. It's a private company. And that's
why would they do that? What's the benefit?
They don't need the exit. They don't need the funds from the public. See, you really, yeah, when you go public in the stock exchange or whatever exchange you go to, whether it's NASDAQ or Dow Jones Industrial Average or the S&P 100 or any one of those exchanges, right? When you go to that exchange, the purpose is to raise money. That's it. The purpose is to raise money. If you don't need to raise money that way, then you don't need an incorporated company, right? You can use a limited liability company, stay in the private realm, and use all of the benefits with inside of there, right? All of the benefits. And then you can give voting shares, non-voting shares, and just raise it from a small group of people, which is where we're leading to this conversation of how to build your team. Because the shares have value. They have a future value, but they have a value. And if I'm building a team and I'm looking for a chief marketing officer, a chief financial officer, a chief investment officer, a chief strategy officer, chief sales officer, chief revenue officer, chief operating officer, CEO, all the way down the list of the big 8. Why not offer them the equity in the company? Why not offer them shares of the company, which is value? So you're not taking anything for free. You're not giving you service for free. They're getting an equity in the company because they believe. That's the key, though. Tehran said it earlier. They have to believe in what you're doing and see the vision of the business. If you have no vision of your business and where it's going to go, having a limited liability company and a bunch of shares means absolutely nothing, because no one's going to go with you. It's like, where are you going today? I think I'm going to make lemonade. What are you going to do tomorrow? I think I'm going to make burgers. They're like, I'm out. You don't know what you're doing, right? But if you have a mission and vision and a bead line and you're passionate about what you're doing, people can sense that. And they're going to follow. They're going to be willing to go that road if they believe in the mission that you're doing. And some will say, and if they can see the revenue later, I can project that I can make some money off of this later. Everyone here would wish they had bought Microsoft or Uber, for that matter, when it was 23 cents a share, right? 23 cents a share, and it's crazy because now what is it worth, right? And how many times has it split since then? So this is that same mantra. There's a mistaken identity that millionaires and billionaires and these companies make billions of dollars overnight. Yeah, no. They work in the garage for a very long time, and they partner up with other people who believe in them, and they give them equity. And that's exactly what Team Course teaches you how to do.
I love it. So, so can we talk a little bit about building your team? How do you decide? I know we talked about the big 8. Is that where you start when you're building your team? Are you just looking for hunger and desire? I mean, obviously, even with the year and a half that we've worked together, you see people, and just being entrepreneurs, right? You see people come and go. Not everyone's meant to be long-term. So what would be some things that you're looking for?
Commitment. And I'm going to speak this for Tehran because I know he's having audio issues. I'm going to say this for Tehran. They have to believe in the mission. See, there's skills everywhere. People have skills everywhere, right? Not to degrade any expert in the field, but there's CFOs everywhere. There's CMOs everywhere. There's content creators everywhere. There's operations specialists everywhere. And you can offer them equity, and they understand the value of the equity and or rev share, because we do both with our organization. We share the revenues for the immediate profitability, and then we share equity for long term. Tehran, I'm gonna just hit me for just a second because your music is drowning me out. The oh my God, I lost my train of thought right there. The equity has a future value, the rev share has a current value. So when we're picking the people to be a part of the organization, the question is 2 things that I ask typically. Do they understand the mission and vision of our organization? Because we say it. And how do they align with that? Typically, Tehran would be like, are they already on that path? You know, when we talk to these people, they're all like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I've been trying to do this already for umpteen years. That's the person you want, right? You're starting a car lot. You want a person who's been wanting to do this already, not jumping in because, ooh, this looks like a cool idea. Secondly, you want to make sure that that person does not need immediate income from what you're building. If they have no other day job or no other business and they're not doing something to provide financial support for themselves, they may not fit into that program very well because they're on a need for money. And that's where you see the exchange of people going in and out of an organization. Because I'm here, but in their mind, they're thinking, okay, in the next 90 days, this company is going to blow up and I'm going to get millions of dollars. And then it doesn't blow up in the next 90 days. And then they're going, I'm out. I got to go make money. I need money to pay my bills. Respectfully so. But if we understood that at the beginning, you probably wouldn't brought them in your organization in the first place.
Yeah. Usually that's a pattern habit. Those types of personalities, right? Jump into the next thing. And yeah, and I love that too. And then just to add on to that, I think value systems is a big one too, because if you're not all on the same page with that as a company, which goes back to being on the mission, it just won't work long term. And when you're building equity in a company, obviously you're looking for something long term. You know, it's like I look at it as like a marriage. We're in this long term together, ups and downs, miscommunications, right? We make a wrong decision together as a team. We're in it together for the long term because it's equity, right? It's everything that we're building together. And so those value systems matter. We have to be able to trust each other and be able to communicate. And I think trust being a big deal of that in the sense of not that we're not going to make mistakes, but the intention's always in the right place.
Absolutely. 100% agreed.
Awesome. So I love it. So shall we go into a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back with the founders of I Do Systems and Pillar 5 going over the TEAM, the equity equation method. Check it out. Go to teamcourse.com and we'll be right back.
Absolutely. If you did, you're a vampire and you've been on this planet for over 700 years. If not, you're fooling yourself.
All right, now. So I'm not a vampire, and I'm not fooling myself into thinking that I can do it all and that that's sustainable. But what choice do I have?
First of all, we are fooling ourselves. So I'm not even going to let that slide. We are fooling ourselves when we think we can do it all. And we know it when we find ourselves waking up at 4:30 in the morning, not going to bed to 3 o'clock at night. We put over 18,500 hours into Pillar 5, and that was just me. That doesn't count T.E.E.M Glover. That doesn't count Teflar. That doesn't count all the team members who've been with us from the start. And some of the team members that we have now who've been plugging in a tremendous amount of hours to get to where we are. A lot of work. Here's what you do. If I want to start a football team, what's the first thing I got to do? Build a team. Let's just say I want to build a basketball team. The first thing I got to do is get a basketball team, right? So if I want to own a national basketball team that competes as a business, I need a manager, I need trainers, I need health professionals, I need supervisors, I need HR, I need press, I need team members, if you're making sales, you're proving that the market wants what you have.
All right, and we are back with Carlton Hoskins and T.E.E.M Glover, co-founders of I Do Systems, Pillar 5, and the equity equation method. And we are talking about starting a business with no money today. Welcome back, gentlemen. Excited to have you here. Talking about business and starting business with no money, which I think is very attractive to people. I was thinking a lot about, since this course has launched, and just the people in my life that all of a sudden I'm attracting all these people that are want to take their businesses next level, right? So I'm like, check out Pillar 5, go to the TEAM course, you have to see it. And one of the things that it's really helping me start to realize is that, well, it just makes me think of, without vision, the people will perish is what I think, right? And so when you have a course like this that shows us exactly how to build a Fortune 500 company with no money, it's a different vision than saying, hey, I'm going to go, pop in an office and be a solopreneur, right? It's a completely different vision. It's one of the things I love about Pillar 5 and this TEAM method is I don't look at it as, hey, I'm going to go in here and make some sales. Now you're building this organization, a Fortune 500 company, and you have a system to teach you how to do that. It's just so attractive to me. It's a completely different perspective, I think, of what your business looks like in the future. You're starting with a different end in mind, I should say, Carlton, how you talked about Michelle Seiler Tucker.
Absolutely. Just understanding that, as that commercial was saying, where Shanna interviewed me about the Mad Hatter syndrome, we all get stuck in that, especially when we get started, right? There's just us, right? We come up with an idea. Typically, it's by ourselves. Fortunately, I have a partner, T.E.E.M Glover, and we work together on ideas. Everyone doesn't have that partner, but even with us, there's just two of us, and there's a big A that needs to be inside of an organization. Right, CEO, COO, CMO, CIO, CLO, CSO, CTO, and CSO, CRO, Chief Revenue Officer is the last one. So you have these big eights. Now, T.E.E.M and I we can raise our hands and say we don't have a degree in any one of those eight. And it's fair to say that most entrepreneurs don't have a degree in the management of business, right? And when I say management, I don't mean how to go manage a McDonald's. That's a different management degree. That's not what I'm talking about, right? Even those, I spoke with a guy the other day, he went to Brown or whatever university he went to, and he's, Carl, I went to school for 2 years and I quit because I learned more by trying to start a business than I did sitting in a classroom. And he's right. There's millions of stories about people who come to the U.S., go to college, quit college, and then become billionaires overnight. Well, not overnight, but but they follow different methods that are not in the academic field. They're not in the schools, and they're not there. And this is real world experiences, and so that's really the crux of it. We have to realize that we can't do everything in our business. The moment we realize that I don't want to do the accountant, go find a CFO. I don't want to do the marketing. I don't really understand. I still, to this day, don't qualify myself enough to be in marketing, right? Others would disagree, but I feel that way. Now, as far as executive officer, I'm always looking to get rid of that hat. Most people are trying to hold on to those hats. Tehran,
yeah, I was gonna say it's such a different perspective and mindset, because usually with most solopreneurs, I guess I'll use solopreneur. I don't know if I should generalize, but it seems that's the challenge. It's the trusting to delegate. It's why we're always a solopreneur. That was the biggest challenge that I had when I went from being a solopreneur to owning a business, was trusting other people to do things as good, the way that I wanted them done, what I considered to be good enough or better, and then in the timely manner. Because to me, I'd look at it as, okay, look, I could take half an hour to teach you, or I can get it done in 5 minutes. And so that was a huge, I think for most is really taking that skill and transferring it, right? So what is that challenge where we feel so afraid to delegate?
I think it's just natural. We all call our business the baby. And no one wants to hand a baby to someone they don't know, like, or trust, right? I mean, it's just a common component. And I think we have a mindset that they don't really understand it the way we do, so they can't help me do what I'm trying to do, right? I don't think it's so much of I don't trust that person with their skill set. It's I don't trust that person understands where I'm going with it, or what's in my mind, right? Where I'm trying to lead it. And I think that's probably one of the biggest pieces about, you mentioned Pillar 5, that I think makes the most sense, is that once you put together that one-page business plan, you know where this is going. And it's very easy to share that with a team. In many cases, where we think we should go is probably not where we should go. And this is where experts really lend in, right? If you have a chief financial officer and you're charging, let's just say you have an ice cream shop, and you're charging $3 an ice cream, you're beating everybody on the block. You have a pretty decent margin. You're making some pretty good money. And all of this is going now. A CFO may come in and go, yeah, but you're losing money. You might seem, it's kind of like likes, right? I got all these likes, I got all these views on social media, but no one's buying. And here's a case where you're selling ice cream for $3 a cone, and you have 1 million people come through there, but it costs you $3.25 to sell a cone, right? So you just lost $250,000. Now you can brag that you got the most traffic, but your business model is not structured properly. So therefore your pricing isn't right. So that's going to impact you later. And that's where CFOs come in. They can make sure that the financials are right. And then when it's time to go get funding or raise or capital or loans or credits or whatever it is to scale and expand, then they can put their best foot forward. Tehran tells us all the time, we have marketing on our team now, right? At one point we didn't. We still have the urge. I still sometimes have an urge in a meeting to start coming up with marketing ideas. And Tehran will shoot me right in the head. Stop. What are you doing? You're not marketing. Where's marketing? Get marketing. And marketing will say something completely different and take it in a different direction. That makes sense, right? I'm just guessing. And we tend, from business owners' perspective, we do what we can with what we have, right? Well, now you have equity. You should have equity in your company. You should have a limited liability company. We don't have to rely on ourselves to do everything. Kind of think about decorating your home. Just because you can decorate your home the way you like it doesn't mean you should be changing your roof out. Doesn't mean you should be changing out your electric. That doesn't mean you're skilled and qualified to build a home from the ground up. You might just be able to decorate it the way you like it. And that's what we are as business owners. We get to decorate the business the way we like it. but get the experts to build the business. That's the key.
Yeah, I want to chime in on that. So one of the big things, like you say, when we started, it was just Carlton and myself, right? And we have a way of working with each other. We understand each other and how we work, our work ethic, and we understood the vision, obviously. So when we're building out the team, now you got to understand the mindset of the people that's coming into the team, not just the skill set. I always big up Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad because he talks about the mindset and the relationship to the title given in those quadrants, E, S, B, and I. Same thing goes for your C-suite, your big eight, your team members. These are titles, but there's a mindset that you're bringing along with that skill set. So if you have a like solopreneur, that's a mindset. Entrepreneur, I need a team. That's a mindset. It's not what you call yourself, it's what do you do? You know, as in sales, we used to always tell people, you're not defined by what a person's mouth can be. A person can twist their mouth up to say anything. So we're not defined by what we say. We're defined by what we do. Because even if you do something other than what you're saying, that's your definition, walking as a verb. You're a verb. You're going to describe. So it's something to pay attention to when you're building a team. Because we, again, just like we want to wear all the hats, even after we decide to build a team, we also want people to be part of the mission. So we start selling the mission. We start selling the idea without realizing we're just discussing it. But if you're good at selling, you're going to sell somebody. Now they're sold, and if they're not part of the team, as far as the whole thing, it convolutes the process. It convolutes the growth of it. You know, which is one of the difficult things about being so solution driven. Because you'll say, "Well, I'll just do it." And Carlton says, "Well, I'll just come with a marketing idea." That's because we're so used to. If it starts slowing down, well, we just got to do it. Because I don't care what title does it, as long as the title gets done.
Right.
When you're building a team, you have to delegate and let go and let that person do it. There's a Prodigal Sons and Daughters is a nonprofit organization I came across maybe 5 years ago, and their whole mission was to help disenfranchised people in the communities, right? Get a grip on their life, right? And they had a saying I keep to me to this day. He said, "Our job is to hand out rope." Now, people can pull themselves up with the rope, and people can hang themselves with the rope. Neither one are our business. Our business is handing out rope. And that's how it is with the equity. That's how it is when you're building a team. Your job is to build a strong team of leaders and professional experts that can get the job done in these respective departments, if you will. And that's really it. You know, time reveals all truths, but you got to be focused on the mission. You got to be focused on duplicating your mindset. Everybody that's going to do team doesn't have to have me and Carlton's mindset. But think about when you're building with your partner in that garage, that conversation, those types of conversations, that vibration has to remain the same or continue as you start building your team. So there's a lot of different moving parts and components to building team, but you're really scaling you're scaling your idea, and your team is out there, your tribe is out there, your whole cult following is out there. It's just building a relationship with those people versus anybody that just listen, because anybody will listen if you talk to us, you know.
And I think also making sure that you're bringing value to the table, right? As if you want to be in the tribe, right? Like I want to stay in the Carlton T.E.E.M tribe. I got to make sure I'm pulling my little red wagon in there too and bringing value as well, right? I can't just be taking, it has to be a two-way street. And I'm going to keep contributing because I want to keep, right? I want to keep the relationship going. But one of the things that I really value that I've learned through this too is that even though we have so many different departments, I don't feel micromanaged, number one. And number two is that everyone does their job in their department. And I wasn't used to that, right? I've talked about that a couple of times. I wasn't used to that at first. So I don't know if it's just because we've been entrepreneurs so long, right? You get better at the game, you know more of what you're looking for. But how do you decide that? Is it just something you've gotten lucky with over time that you're able to just kind of trust and let people do that thing? I know I was having a conversation with someone the other day and I said, they said, well, should you have Carlton something? And I was like, Carlton will give me some course correction if he thinks I need it. Otherwise, we just do our own thing. You know, he'll course correct us. Don't get me wrong, but you know, he lets us do our job, and that's what I love, especially as an entrepreneur. I don't want someone's thumb on me, right? So, can you talk about that mindset a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure when we go into mindset, I love when Tehran speaks to mindset. He has a way of speaking to mindset that is elevated above mine. But to your point, I think that's a working process. It's a constant strife to let go, because every day, I'm itching to grab things and pull them back in, right? Because in our mind, we see it away, and I see it in a speed. Okay, I have time, right? I have the next hour. This is what I can do in that hour. Well, we're waiting on this department to do something. Well, I don't want to wait, right? That's where it comes in. I don't want to wait. I can do it. And because I can do it, I'm going to go do it. And the moment I do that, I displace that expert. I'm saying, why are they even there? Why did I give up the equity? What was the point? If they're the experts to do it, why am I stepping on their toes to do their work? Right? They're going to do it in a way that's better than me, because they are the expert in that field, right? We don't go into court with $1 million lawyer and then tell our lawyer to shut up and start defending ourselves in the courtroom. Because if you did, why'd you spend $1 million? Just go buy yourself a nice suit and walk in by yourself. And it's the same thing when you're building your house, you're building your business. I like to always look at businesses like a house. When you go to build your house, you don't grab a nail and a screwdriver and a staple gun and plaster, and you don't do any of that. You sit down, you draw out a plan of what you want it to look like. And in your mind, you can see it. You can walk through the house. Oh, I'm going to put that there and this and there. Now I'm going to go get a contractor to come in. And that contractor is going to go get the experts. See, even in that, the contractor's not building everything. He's going to go get experts, the plumber, the electrician, the flooring, the roofing, the framing. They're going to get everybody specific to the task. And the homeowner never has to show up ever. All they got to do is just wait. And they'll say, okay, your house is built. Walk in. Now you can decorate it with all the furniture you want to. You can sell whatever you want out of the back door if you want to, whatever. But the house is built. And we have to take ourselves out of the house. And the same thing with building a business. You have to take yourself out of the house. A good leader should delegate and then support the team that you're delegating to, right? And I'm learning. Being a CEO is a hard task, because especially for me, because I'm not used to letting go. I'm used to doing it, right? And so it is a mindset. And Tehran can talk about that from the quadrant side. I'm sure he will, either now or at some point. But Tehran, I love to hear you talk about that mindset of delegation. I don't know if he can hear me.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Broke up a little bit. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I'm going to go for it because you're breaking up on me, so I'm going to act like this is right, all right? But, yeah, so the mindset of, I guess, of delegation that you're asking, you got to trust people. You got to trust people. You got to not be scared. You got to be concerned, but you can't be scared. Because, again, everybody is going to, it depends. There's so many moving parts to it. If you're presenting a business opportunity to somebody and it's attached to a mission that they believe in, of course, they're going to nod, agree, and say, I want to get involved. But most people tell you more than they overpromise and underdeliver. So there's some character traits that you want to be looking out for. You want to look for the humble minded that's going to underpromise and overdeliver. Through our process, through our journey, there's been some consistent things that's been happening over 6 years. And that's when a brand new person comes onto the team. They are on the team moving and working way before they get any equity. There's a difference than somebody that likes what you're doing and somebody who's like, I'm already doing what you're doing. I'm part of your tribe already. We just found each other. And it's easier to delegate that department or the responsibilities to those people. There's just this weird subculture that lives inside of corporate America, which I'm not from corporate America. So to me, they just jump out like fluorescent lights. So I'm like, well, that's not real humanity. It's a sociological behavior. I could see that. That's not authentic. And it really comes to part when people like yourself, Natalie, Bridget, I can name them. It's like the whole team. It's like when people come on, they're excited, They start moving, they start coming with ideas, and then you're not really micromanaging them. You're really helping them, cultivate their own relationship inside the team, inside of the company, with each other. Um, and there's a total opposite that exists as well. When you don't feel that that what are we, what can I do to help you? You know, it's just like anything else. I call this. It's like building a house. If you have a construction workers building a house, one person is thinking about the other, even if it's not their job, because the accomplishment is the house. So the mentality or mindset, let me just say it so I'm not so wordy as I've been already. The mindset is that we're collectively trying to get a thing done, a house done, a project done, a business off the ground, a software launched, an app developed, whatever it is, a storefront up, whatever it is. And that's always going to be the common denominator that should make all the decisions either make sense as productive or not make sense as destructive. So I think that's the real mindset that is the basis to everything. Because the mouth can twist up to say anything. And a stranger objectively can walk up to a group and tell, are they a collective team or not? And I think if we keep that in mind, it helps us to watch how we work and watch how we interact or not interact. I don't have to, and you'll see, I'll be the least one to say anything because I don't care about having a microphone. I'd rather whatever this microphone conversation is going to produce after the conversation. My whole goal is to be a silent partner in life. For real. Okay. Y'all go ahead. That's another question. Next.
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about not just the mindset, but how do we work that into team? So I know there's people watching and they're checking out and they're like, well, team sounds interesting to me and I get the mindset part, but how do I know, right? Well, a lot of times to Tehran's point, you don't know, which is why when you take the team course, you'll learn there's different strategies like using a 90-day alignment period. You get somebody on your team, you get them on your team for 90 days. You don't give up the equity. You don't just give up your equity. You don't be like, oh, here's some equity like cash. Here's some equity. Come join my team. It's no, join my team. Just like when you go to work with somebody, there's this 90-day probationary period, right? Exactly. We call it a 90-day alignment period because they're trying to get aligned with your organization, just like your organization is trying to get aligned with them. And until that alignment happens, you don't want to commit. You don't want to commit to the marriage, right? So, and you want to see how they work, how they communicate. Does it align with how you communicate? Maybe it's they come in communicating better than the organization does, and the organization needs to step it up and communicate a little bit better. Or maybe they're just, they say they're doers, but they're really not doers. They're more talkers than doers, right? And if you want a team of talkers, then hey, then you got you a win. But if you're looking for a team of doers, people who are actually going to put in the work. And that's the big deal. When you look at your big eight or you're bringing in your experts, you don't want advisors. That is so huge to say. You don't want expert advisors for equity. You don't want someone sitting around going, oh, well, I think you should, your website looks kind of okay. And if I was you, I would change my website. Let me get some equity. No, you want a person that's going to come in and do the work, right? And eventually, if it's done right, they should be building out a whole department underneath them. Meaning if they come into marketing, the idea is, yeah, they may have to design the website right now. They may have to deal with branding right now. They may have to deal with content and copyright right now, right? Even if it's not their superpower, but it's under that department. So they may have to start trying to figure out these little nuances to just get it moving. But then the idea is build your team, right? If we're building companies, we should be building a team of experts. Who's your starting 8, right? And don't think of them as advisors. You can have an advisory board for free, board of directors for free, all of those alignment committee for free. But when you start talking about building a team of experts for your organization, you're talking about doers. People who are, as Home Depot's commercials say, doers get things done. People who are going to get some stuff done, not just come to the meeting every week and have a conversation about what it should be, because that's not worth it. So you do the 90 days. And then after the 90 days, again, you'll learn most of this in the course and how to do it. And all of the documents are there in the course. All your templates are available. But Then you start understanding how to do vested equity, right? Because again, you still don't just give it all away. You know, when you go to work for a company, they agree to give you a salary and they say, okay, I'm going to give you 180,000 for the year. They don't just write you a check for 180,000 and say, okay, thanks for signing my company. I'll see you tomorrow, first day at work. What? Yeah, no, you're going to get it over time, right? You show up, you do your part, you'll get your check. You show up, you get your check. Same thing with equity. You show up, you get your part of the equity, and that equity will stack till you get to a certain point. And you may have a cutoff, what they call a cliffhanger, right? Where they may get to a point and say, I'm out. I don't want to be here no more, right? Well, they walk away without their equity because that may be part of how you structured it. It may not. But again, all of that is in the course. The course is jam-packed full. And the truth of the matter is, it is everything Tehran and I did to build our organization with $0. Everything we did. So we're not just talking about a way. We lived it. We do it. We're doing it today. You know, this is how we grow. Yes. And we're building another company the very same way. Yes. So that's how that goes. We use our equity.
And I want to say something to that too. And so, man, it's weird. It's almost like a takeaway. But man, listen, and I'm gonna keep it short. So I guess Carlton or Natalie, you can address the 90-day finance. I'm not sure.
Fiance. 90-day fiance.
Oh, 90-day fiance. Oh. Yeah. Domestic goes right out of my head. I transferred the words to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Finance, right? But yeah, damn, what was I going to say? And what did you say?
Well, I'll give you a second to think. So, but it makes me think, you know, on these 90-day agreements or 90-day fiance, however you want to put it, either way, it's really, I think, about setting those standards up front too, because so many times we don't set our standards and expectations up front of what we want that 90 days to look like. Then that person doesn't deliver, and it's like, well, there's no accountability or nothing to go back to. And they're like, wait a minute, you didn't say you expected these things, or I didn't know these, right? There's nothing to go back to. So letting us know what the standards and expectations are from the beginning. You have your 90-day review, and it's like, hey, things aren't maybe aligning here as much. Makes me think that on the fiance too.
Right. Yeah. So what I was going to say was, so just again back to the beginning, as far as beginning with the end in mind. You know that you're bringing a team of people in that are going to have their own departments to run. I mean, and like, what were you doing before we met already? You should have been doing this in some capacity. Somehow, it might have looked different, sound different, been in a different industry or something, but you were taking care of this mission because everybody gets together and talks. And we got to be careful when we're building this up, because you're dealing with people's time. You're dealing with their expertise. A lot of people went to school and got letters in front of their name and behind their name, and they're not coming to mess around. They're coming to give you their value. Value is determined by the recipient of the gift, not what you give it, not what you went through to give it to them. Value is determined by the recipient of the gift. So you want to make sure that they're getting value, so that they can give you the best that they can give you. But again, if everybody's on the same time and understand it's not something for everybody, it's really not. Understand, if you're building a team and you're using equity and you're using shares and you're doing, this is totally different from having a partnership with you and another person. And there's a mindset that goes to that. So you want to study people, study companies that run that way. Study a big boy company that's doing the same thing you're doing. See how their infrastructure is looking. And then you're just going to duplicate that same thing. How many departments are in that? I don't care if it's a shirt company, if it's a coffee shop. Take your mom and pop shop, compare it to a Fortune 500 coffee shop, look at their infrastructure, start building it out. And then know what mind state is going to take to run that consistently, to keep that same currency or current running through. That's really what it is to me.
Absolutely. Good point. And to the 90-day fiance, I love that statement. I love that statement. The reality is in that your question, Natalie, of the expectations that are set up front. Well, in some degree, setting an expectation kind of tells people like, this is what we're going to be looking for later, right? So they can kind of meet those benchmarks. The other one is don't. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Don't say anything. Don't set an expectation, because people are going to do what they do naturally. So if you set an expectation, they're going to change to kind of maneuver into the expectation metric. versus if you just leave them alone and just watch them, just delegate and give them the power, you will absolutely 100% see the truth of that person. It's kind of like the fiance, right? Your fiance is coming to dinner. You're going to prepare your house. You're going to clean up. You're going to take all the crap. You're going to clean. The house is going to be sparkling, shiny, brand new, right? But then 90 days after you get married, fiance's got clothes on the floor, dishes full in the sink, outdated food in the refrigerator, snores real loud. You're like, wait a minute. Oh, I didn't sign up for this. You bamboozled me. You tricked me because you said don't do this, and I didn't do this. And now we're married, so I don't got to do that anymore. I got you, right? And so that's such a funny way to look at that from the 90-day fiance. So in business, Tehran and I have kind of made it our motto to not set those parameters. The only one is you got to be a doer. You got to be on the mission, right? If you say you're a doer, we're going to know. There's people walking into the organization with stuff done. Here's charts. Here's graphs. Here's metrics. Here's your market. Here's a plan. Here's a strategy. Here's what I would do. Here's what my review of Pillar 5 was. Here's what I think. Here's what I thought. Here's what I'm going to do. And others walk in and go, what do you want me to do? See, there's a difference to that because we're not looking for the employees, right, in our organization. And and if you're building a business, you're not looking for employees when you're building your big 8. You're building your expert team. You're looking for experts who can build a team of employees. Different mindset.
Yeah, I think you should. Can you say that again? Say that one more time because that was good. For people who are building, talk about the difference of employee mindset and doer mindset when you're building your team.
Oh yeah, when you're building your team, you want to build a team of experts. You want to build a team of business mindset and investor mindset people. Right side of the quadrant. Go read quick Cash Flow Quadrant with Robert Kiyosaki. Shout out to Robert. But on the left side, you have your self-employed and employee mindset, right? Employee mindset, self-employed mindset. That's a mindset that walks in and says, what do you need me to do? Whatever you need me to do.
Or E says what you want me to do. S says go do this. Boss, leader, two different things. One tells you what to do, one shows you what to do. Left side, E. Right side, B. I'm a leader. I'm not going to manage people. I'm going to, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you what to do by me doing it. So there's a lot, again, back to the in and out. It's all hands-on. It's hands-on versus hands up. Like, tell me, guide me, lead me, guide me. No, we're going to guide and lead a whole industry if we can get our act together.
Right. And sometimes, and I say the E mindset, sometimes doers are doers. Like if I was walking into your company, Natalie, or anyone on this listening to the show today said, Carl, let me join, bring Carl into my company. Right. I'm going to get in where I fit in, somewhere in that big 8, right? Wherever I fit. And I may not jump out the gate with ideas and concepts and information and answers right off the bat. I may just be a doer. I may show my value, just be like, look, what are you guys working on right now? What are you doing? Okay, you're doing this? I can help with that. Let me do that. I can help with that. Let me do that. See, I'm still doing. It's not necessarily the employee mindset say, what do you need me to do? We have someone on our team that is just I wouldn't change it for the world. You have something to get done, you talk about a get her doneer. She's a get her done or doer. She will, man, she put all the D's in it for you, the doings. But you're going to have individuals like that. But they're also an expert. That's the funny thing. They're also an expert and they can lead. But sometimes the greatest chief is the best Indian. And, I learned that in the military. And sometimes it's just better to step back. Just step back. Let your team run. I get kicked out the sandbox all the time. Natalie's laughing because it's so true. I'll be like jumping in. They're like, nope, Carl, get out.
Right. That's something that I learned. I learned that just to piggyback. Good leaders are great followers. Here's the thing. They're not followers because they want to looking for somebody to follow. They understand the importance of following. They understand the importance of being in that position and what that role does to the whole team. So if you can't follow, you probably can't lead because you don't respect it enough. You don't respect the whole picture, each part, each component of the machine.
So true. Team, the equity equation method.
Awesome. Great stuff. So yeah, go check it out. You can go and look at the website, look at the course there, of course, pillar5.com. Thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Thank you, IDU Systems, for sponsoring today's show. Thank you for Carlton Tehran for joining us and sharing all this fabulous information and just showing up week after week for us. We appreciate you. Have a great day, everyone. Do something today that your business will thank you for. Do something today to better your business, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.